This is ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. I'm delighted as always to be joined by Paul. This is a reaction video to the news that it is official. Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. will rematch. Paul, interested to get your reaction to this. Obviously, we had that first fight back in January, ended in a fourth round stoppage for Liam Smith. One outcome that not many people predicted. But yeah, what do you think? Do you want this rematch? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Elliot. I'm glad the fight has been announced. To answer your question, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of excited about it, the rematch. I know some people will be saying we don't need a rematch, and I'm normally banging that drum, to be honest. If the first fight's so conclusive, I would normally be banging the drum that you don't need a rematch, and I don't think you necessarily do need a rematch here. But it's just kind of the Eubank factor, really, isn't it? Like Eubank in it, you know what the way he gets on and the way he is. Eubank in his head's like, oh, like he couldn't have fathomed that that was going to happen. And now that it did, he's like, oh, that could only ever happen one in 100 times. So he obviously wants to prove that it was a fluke, and that he's better. He's the better fighter than Liam Smith. So yeah, I'm kind of, I kind of am excited for it, despite how conclusive the first fight was, and yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm interested to hear your take, because I've heard quite a lot of people obviously banging the drum and saying that they can't see anything but other than the same. Again, just of how dominant the first fight was. So yeah, interesting to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's a big, it's a big fight for both, and I think that Liam Smith could have possibly gone down the route of fighting for a world title again, and I think he's chosen not to because the Eubank fight's a bigger fight for him. So I understand. I understand why. I think both fighters are at that age now where it's about making money rather than kind of achievements. So that's why that's kind of one of the reasons why this rematch is happening. I think obviously if Eubank Jr. had won the first fight, don't think we'd be seeing a rematch. But yeah, I think that I don't look. It's not the fight I'm looking forward to most this year because I think that we've had so many good fights that have happened this year, and I've got coming up as well. But in terms of fights happening in the UK, it's one of the biggest fights that's going to happen. So take it or leave it is my kind of opinion at the moment with British boxing the way it is. We can't be too fussy about having these big fights. So I'd rather have that than Liam Smith going to America to fight Janabek, or Chris Eubank Jr. having kind of a tune-up fight. You know, this is so it's maybe this fight's not as kind of as bad as some people think it is.
Yeah, there was. Sorry, Jelly. There was obviously a little bit of kind of bit of needle in the build up to this.
Mm,
In the first fight, obviously it's different when you've then shared the ring and it's kind of like, oh yeah, respect and everything. But Eubank will be thinking, oh well, he's a little shit. How did I let him beat me? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And whether you like it or not, whether you think he's world level or not, or whatever level you think Eubank is, he is box office. Um, it's
yeah.
it's kind of must watch television, and yeah, wouldn't surprise me if this did massive numbers again this fight.
Yeah, and that was I remember I put a tweet out on ESBR's account before the first fight, and I just asked people outside of the heavyweights, is Eubank Jr. the biggest name in British boxing? And a lot of people, in my opinion, couldn't accept that he was at the time. Got some outrageous shouts. Got some people saying Lee Wood, Sonny Edwards. No offense, Paul, but Eubank Jr. Look, he is still a big name. He's one of the most recognizable faces of active British boxers to casual fans. So he is still a big name. Not and like obviously, his background kind of helps with that as well, of course. But this is a big this is a big fight, and I think when it comes down to it, people really look forward to because there's a lot on the line here. Um, what do you think happened in that first fight, Paul? Did Eubank Jr. underestimate Liam Smith? Was Liam Smith just too good on the night? What do you think? What's your make of what happened on that night?
Well, I had humble pie in the aftermath because although I knew Liam Smith was the better fighter, he's the better boxer, he's more complete, better skill set, still thought Eubank was going to win, and for various different reasons. But what happened first time around? It's honestly hard to fathom what happened because we've seen Eubank take some huge shots
Yeah,
from middleweights and super middleweights to no effect. Then he's fighting Liam Smith, who's a career 154 pounder, fighting up at middleweight,
Mm.
and he got dropped twice, and then got stopped, and you're like, how has that happened?
Yeah,
But then a lot of people obviously in the aftermath are saying, oh well, the weight cut for the Conor Benn fight potentially was to his detriment because then he got into another camp straight away.
yeah,
Um, so what happened? I don't know. I think was Liam Smith's not renowned as a massive puncher either at 154. Yeah, he's got a good few stoppages, but he's not renowned as one of the biggest punchers in the division by any stretch. So it was a really strange one when it happened. If I had have saw Liam Smith winning that fight, probably would have backed it to be on points.
yeah.
So it really, really did shock me. And to answer your question, mate, I really don't know what happened.
Yeah, it would be fascinating to see some sort of like behind the scenes documentary of Eubank Jr.'s weight cut for the Conor Benn fight, which was supposed to happen early October. Fight obviously didn't end up happening for reasons that we're aware of. And then, as you said, this like, I think it was 157 pounds he had to make. We all remember that picture he had when he looked his kind of facial features looked shocking, and the fact that he's kind of come down to that weight, which probably just was really bad for his body, and then he's done whatever for a couple of weeks, and then gone from that kind of weight in middle October to going to fighting actually at middleweight in January. I'd be fascinated to know how easily he made that weight, because that weigh in on the Friday before the Liam Smith fight, you didn't have many people saying, or I didn't really hear anyone saying, "Oh, Eubank Jr. looks awful on the scales. Looks like he's really struggled to make weight." He looked normal to me, so I don't know if that's an excuse or reason why he lost. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I really don't know either. And then it's the age-old saying as well. Everyone was saying how good a chin Eubank had. And I agree, he had an unbelievable chin. He's taken some huge shots in the past and kind of shrugged them off. And then it's the age-old saying, really, Elliot, isn't it? It's like your chin, just because we've seen fighters in the past who've been renowned for granite jaws, and then just one fight, it goes. So now, is Eubank going to be potentially a little bit chinny now? Does he? Because as I said at the top, he just probably couldn't fathom any way in which Liam Smith could beat him. He just couldn't accept that,
Mm.
and obviously that did happen. I think it's interesting to see. It's all in Eubank's hands to, you know, obviously change it around, change the result. But yeah, it is intriguing because it wouldn't part of it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people still actually did favour Eubank to win this, and that the first night would just put it down to a bad day at the office.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens. Looking forward to this one as it gets closer and closer. Final couple of questions, Paul. Are you more looking forward to this fight than you would be if Chris Eubank Jr. was finally facing Conor Benn?
No, I would probably, as much as it pains me to say it, and depending on the outcome of the Conor Ben drug situation and blah blah blah, Ben Eubank, yeah, that would have been. It's box office. It's
Yeah,
just one of those. Even though Eubank had that loss to Smith, like going into Conor Ben and Chris Eubank Jr. fighting each other, it's just massive, isn't it? Really, like I'd say a lot of boxing fans would agree that yeah, Liam Smith, there's a narrative there, and Eubank clearly wants the rematch. But if it had been Conor Ben, yeah, oh, unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll see if that fight does happen down the line. We'll see what Conor Ben's going to do next. Lots of stuff going on behind the scenes, I'm sure. Final question, Paul. Are you willing to give a prediction at this stage? Still got some time before the fight happens. Obviously, I'm sure Liam Smith will be the favourite here. I'm sure some people will be completely writing Eubank Jr. off, rightly or wrongly. What way are you siding at this stage?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to see a way in which Liam Smith loses this fight now, judging off the first fight, to be quite honest with you. And that's me going full circle, because I did think Eubank was going to win the first fight, to hold my hands up. And now, just with how conclusive and definitive the first fight was, I really don't see a way in which Eubank can, make the necessary adjustments and overcome that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Would I like to see Eubank win? Probably, I probably would, just because he is the box office name, and there could be some huge fights going forward if he were to right this wrong and get revenge over Liam Smith. But to be quite honest with you, mate, at an early stage, obviously my predictions may change, but I would probably favour repeat this time around.
Yeah, I'm going to join you there. I think Liam Smith will win again, but I expect it to be a more competitive fight. It'll go longer than 4 rounds. Eubank Jr. would have more success. He'll take the fight more seriously. But yeah, if I had to make a prediction now, I'd join you and say Liam Smith to win again. Paul, thank you very much for joining me. Pleasure as always. It's another kind of big fight. We've got busy August in the month in the sport of boxing. Looks like we're going to have a busy September as well, and we're all here for it. Paul, thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, mate. All the best.